Hi, this is Phil Potempa, and welcome to another edition of Notoriety. I'm your host. Each week, we bring you everything you want to make sure you mark on the calendar, what is not to be missed. Performances and other opportunities throughout Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland, and beyond. And of course, this is the broadcast podcast of equivalent of all the columns you can read in the flagship Post Tribune newspaper, as well as under the umbrella of Chicago Tribune Media. Of course, everything is captured there at chicagotribune.com. We could not be here without our generous underwriters and supporters, the Nana Arts Commission, the wonderful people at the Legacy Foundation, and of course, People's Bank. And most of all, you. Some of you are tuned into our traditional radio airwaves, 12:30 a.m. here at WJOB, as we come to you from the Strachan Van Til Studios in Hammond. This broadcast is being captured live in case it's a rebroadcast. You'll want to know the stamp on it. Right now on Thursday, May the 15th, 2025. In case you're seeing it later streamed on your social media and you're wondering exactly when it happened on this date of May the 15th. Others of you do have the option of seeing all the video cameras and what is coming to you from our studios here in Hammond. And you might be wondering, even though it's long after Easter, why is there a rabbit on the table? It's because we are about to be surrounded by bunnies as our guests zoom in and we talk about the latest and the greatest from the one and only, one of my favorite claim to fame from Northwest Indiana and Hammond, our own David Cerda, playwright, actor. He is somebody who's done it all and does it all with a smile most of the time. Joining us, we have with us, I believe, zooming in right away, we have Colin, I think is there. Grant Drager is there as well, and Colin Callahan. Can you hear us? Can you hear me right?
Yes.
Hi.
We're here.
There we are. And thank you. Thank you so much for being good sports and joining here. I know that it took a little bit of timing and finessing here to get you to, as I said earlier to you, the publicist David Rosenberg, to hop on Zoom with the pun intended. The reason I keep using all these the rabbit alliterations is because Scary Town is a title that is a little bit kind of a interpretation symbolic of the latest parody that has been dreamed up by David Cerda. Our two gentlemen are cast members in that play that is only concluding with the wonderful extension that was added that it will happen through this weekend. So you only have until May the 18th to get into Chicago and make sure you check it out. There was a wonderful piece, one of the colleagues, Emily, I believe, did in the Chicago Tribune that was just wonderful, and it talks so much about why this is such an important stage opportunity, as we'll talk about with our cast here, Grant and Colin. David Cerda has done so many parodies, usually about other luminaries. It can be anybody from Joan Crawford. It can be an Alfred Hitchcock send-up. It can be the upside-down adventures of the Poseidon, adventure tragedy that happened on the open seas with his own spin on it. But this time, he is the direct focus. And if you look hard enough and you know him well enough, as I do for the last 20 years, there's always hidden Easter eggs and things that are a nod to Northwest Indiana. Or he'll mention something that would maybe only be relevant to somebody who might be here from the region, as we say. He is a graduate, again, of Hammond High School. And this piece is really biographical. He is not in it. He's not directing it. He's taken a step back. He's letting these cast members bring his own life to the stage and in the spotlight, but under the guise of a family of rabbits. So think of maybe a holiday TV special adventure come to life, but with a bit of extra zest to it, shall we say. So, as some of the posters you'll see floated across the screen say, it's not for children, though it looks like it has this sort of fun illustration to it, even though the main rabbit, Devin, has got a cigarette popped in his, under his lip, I see. This is not really for children; it's for adults, but it tells a story unlike any other. So I want I've not seen it yet. I'm gonna pop up and I'm gonna see it on tomorrow on Friday. Devin, we're gonna start. Devin, buddy, we're gonna start with you and tell us a little bit, Colin, about how you were cast in the role and kind of where you've taken it.
Yeah. So this is my first handbag production. I saw the listing on, I think it was League of Chicago Theaters, and I just booked an audition, sent in my headshot resume, and then went in the room and was in there with David and Cheryl Snodgrass, who directed it. And yeah, I got a call back, which I was like, I guess it went well, so I went in for the callback, and then from then it was an offer to play this part. And I didn't really know much about it in the beginning. I kind of came in with a bit of a clean slate, open mind. I know they had did a reading prior to the auditions for the live production, and I wasn't a part of the reading, so I came in with a bit of kind of an open mind, ready to explore and see what this story really dived into. So yeah, that was kind of my introduction to it, and how I kind of became a part of it was just the casual audition process and getting cast.
And Colin, you're among friends here, so you needn't worry about any secrets. David Cerda is busy with his rehearsals at Red Orchid right now, anyway, although he probably will be watching this at some point. Did you have much of a familiarity, though, with Hell in the Handbag Productions? I describe it as iconic because David was doing parodies and doing stage opportunities with his own sardonic spin on it long before it was trendy and popular, and it moved all over the country. Some of his own shows have moved around the country. Had you seen one before, or knew somebody, or thought, well, I think they used to do stuff in Mary's attic? Mary's Hamburger Mary's isn't even there, let alone the attic. Tell us, give us the honest answer, Colin.
No, I actually had seen one show prior. One of my colleagues, I recently graduated, well, I guess a year ago now, from UIC's BFA acting program, and one of my colleagues, so one of my classmates, had been in a show with Helen a Handbag, so I went to go see it. It was the show they did, the Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Bush
Oh
show
yeah,
they did this
sure.
past October
Uh,
or November, I guess, around the fall time. And I loved it. I hadn't done a lot of like campy theater like this before, but I kind of really dived into it, and I was like immersed in the world, and it seemed like a really fun process and like great group of people. And I'd heard only good things from my friend who was in it. So then when
yeah.
this show came out, I kind of was like, I'll just audition and I'll put my hat in the ring to be a part of it and kind of see what it's all about.
And there was no shame or crime in that question, although I kind of sounded like it was a little bit, a dart dipped in poison. Because between David, who was a genius, and Cheryl Snodgrass, the director, who is just absolutely wonderful. Anytime I cross paths with her, I know it's going to be something phenomenal. Because David doesn't put in his material into just anybody's hands. There could be a reason also why maybe they didn't want somebody who was completely ingrained and had a 20-year or 15 and knew all the ins and outs of Hell in a Handbag. Maybe they wanted something from a fresh take. So I'm going to find out for myself when I see it all unfold on stage as well. Grant, you are Benny Bunny. Is that one of the siblings of the family that are the story surrounds?
So I know you're going to see it tomorrow, so I don't want to spoil too much, but we do meet his father, his biological
Okay.
father.
Yes, which was
So
kind of unfolded in our Chicago Tribune story. Usually, I would be writing column after column, but as I mentioned, there was a beautiful, huge spread in the main run that really left no stone unturned. That gives a hint that it's biographical, even that there's some ancestral secrets that came out as David struggled with, and many of his stories will have plot lines in this. And Northwest Indiana in the 70s, it would not be easy being different. Today, being different is celebrated. Back then, it certainly was not. And so some of that unfolds, but there is so much, I bet, that is so funny and clever. There's one photo, I can't wait to find out why this is. It looks like the Bunny family is driving a giant apple. If the producers could float that photo, am I seeing this, or do I need to have my eyeglass prescription changed, gentlemen?
it is an Apple car. You
It's,
are
Yep.
correct.
I don't even know why that's in there, but I love that already before I have even seen it. I'm curious. So tell me, how about Grant? Were you very familiar with the flavor of Hell in the Handbag Productions in the past and had seen shows, or no? This is all new territory for you as well.
Yeah, so I originally auditioned for a handbag show back in 2013. That winter of 2013. I've been a part of the company now, I see, of 12 years, going on 12 years this year. I've been working with them 11 years as an ensemble member.
Gosh, so that you've got a decade already, and you seem way too young to already have that many years. What are a couple of the other show titles that we would know that we might have seen you in?
Sure. So I've done Snow Girls, Rip Nelson's Holiday Spectacular, Christmas Dearest. I've done that one twice. I've
Yeah,
been around
that's
long enough
great.
to do it, come
Yes.
back around. And it's been done again without me. But I'm most notably known for my playing Blanche in our Golden Girls productions.
That's right, exactly. Which again, David and yourself and that cast have struck an entire new, gold mine of audiences. So many folks from the suburbs come in just for that show title. This title, Scary Town, is what we're talking about. If you're just tuning in, or you scroll through your social media and you're wondering why is there a rabbit on this desk and what are we talking about? This is the biographical brand new stage parody show that's got a lot of heart to it as well, told through the eyes, through the pen of David Cerda. He does not star in it, he's not directing it, but he is the one that has given life to this, his own life. Growing up in Hammond, his own family, every family has their insides and outs. It's not all exactly what you see. He shares on his social media so many wonderful photos of his family. So often, every, I think, female member of the family has got very, very high hairdos. And I noticed the Rabbit family in Scary Town, which has an extension and it's going to be completing this weekend. So your final chance to get those tickets, Hell and Handbag Productions, is some of those characters, they have high ears because it's a rabbit family he's using, but there's also quite a bit of hair going on. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Our fantastic wig artist, Keith, he does fantastic work. So, I mean, he makes us look good even when we're not making ourselves look good.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, during the process, how many weeks did you have for rehearsals? What do you think after you were cast?
Colin, I think we ended up with 5 weeks.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, honestly. It was like the show wasn't totally finished yet in the beginning of the rehearsal process. The ending was still kind of up in the air. So then it was like, table read, and then we kind of immediately went into like starting and getting it on its feet. And then what do you say? Like maybe like a week or two in, we got the ending.
Yeah,
Or
and even about a week and a half to 2 weeks prior to our first preview, David would come in, he'd see what we were working on. He and Cheryl would sit down together after we'd left, work on material. We'd be rewriting. We were learning material that we'd later have cut. We'd learn new material. We'd edit. It was something so personal for David, and being able to have him step back and not be
Yes.
on the stage or producing meant that he could really take the time and really be delicate and tell the story the way it needed to be told. And so it was difficult, and it was a challenge for us to have those edits up to the end, but I think it really paid off in the beautiful production that we ended up with.
It's a tricky wicket when telling a story. Again, Northwest Indiana is stone's throw, so close to Chicago, but it's not Chicago. So you're right. He's telling a story. He has to pull back on memories, his own life, and things that might be known here in the region. Yes, I laugh in the audience when he throws out that a character is from Griffith or from Lowell or Calumet City because it's right here at my own geographical location, and there can be a kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't know that everybody in Chicago would always pick up on that. So I bet he was. He was erasing, he was changing what works, what maybe is something that is too involved that's not going to play out, that you really can't start that storyline or plot and get it to finish. I want to toss out here again the full website here for tickets, handbagproductions.org. You can go right there and find the link, and the performance is being done at a space even I'm not too familiar with. I was with the Jeff Committee for about 5 years, but I don't know if I might have crossed paths. It is called The Clutch. Is that correct? Is that your stage venue for this performance?
yes.
I
So
wonder.
this was previously our rehearsal space, and this is actually the first production that we're putting on in our space. So we have built a stage, we've painted the walls, we've hung the curtains, and this is the launch of our space being a formal performance space.
4335 Northwestern Avenue, so that's where it's at. And you're sure, Jill, it's not supposed to be called the Hutch. A hutch is where rabbits are kept. And again, we're talking about Scary Town, where it's a family of rabbits, unlike any you've ever seen. One of them, young Devin Bunny, has a small cigarette hanging from his lip in the promotional photos, which our producer is putting across the screen there as well. There's other characters as well. I believe, Grant, you've got to do dual duty with a Mrs. Fox. Is that right?
That is correct. I get to play not only a bunny, but I get to play a Russian fox, which is a lot of fun.
Give me, and again, we're being honest here, so this is going to be one of those tough Larry King, Joan Rivers kind of questions. Give me one thing that was in the script, because you both, I know you've got a 10-year history, Graham, but you both seem very young, still kind of starting out. One reference to something in the script, or a funny aside, or people were chuckling, or David and Cheryl were laughing, and you were scratching your head and thinking, I don't get this. What is this reference to? What is it? Something that, or you had to Google or look it up? Take off the gloves and share a fun little fun fact of something that you had to research because it was something that you hadn't heard of, or maybe it was so inside it didn't make sense to you in the script. Anything?
I was going to say, I know there's a great joke that runs through the show about Green Acres and Zsa Zsa versus Ava Gabor. And I knew Green Acres, but I couldn't have told you for the life of me if we're looking at Jaja or if we're looking at Ava when we're watching the show. And there's a really great bit about you should know that, and that is a very clear that's not.
That's a great example. That's exactly what I was looking for. Did you have anything to add or offer to that, Colin?
Yeah, I was gonna say because that's one of Devin's lines is about like Green Acres and I remember I said it one time like in the rehearsal space and like David and Cheryl like started cracking up and I was like, why is that funny? Like I was like kind of like trying to figure out in my mind. I was like, I don't know what the joke is here. Um so then I had to kind of go and do my own research and I was like, oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, it's it is rather nuanced, and you have to be from a certain era. But Zsa Gabor would be the great great aunt of Paris Hilton. You both know Paris Hilton, so there is because Zsa was married to one of the Hiltons. She was married 8 times, so I can see David inserting that in here. That's the kind of fun inside track you're going to get if you go out and get your ticket. Go and see Scary Town. The one and only David Cerda, our claim to fame here from Northwest Indiana, a Hammond High School grad. He has put pen to paper this time, and he is not skewering a famous, notable, or celebrity. So many have fallen underneath his razor-sharp wit over the years. Everybody from Lana Turner, again, Joan Crawford is one of his favorite ones to parody as well. And, of course, the Golden Girls, B. Arthur. This time it's his own personal story and family, but told as though it were done in a kind of a children's Rankin Bass holiday special with a rabbit family and what goes on in that family behind the scenes. All of it really paralleling his own and mirroring his own youth here in Northwest Indiana. What was difficult? What was it hard in the 1970s of being somebody who was different, being from the middle of Northwest Indiana? And then later on, finding his own place and finding his own fame, certainly as just, again, somebody who has won so many accolades and awards and praise for what he does to make sure that we continue to smile with the parodies and the fun stage opportunities. Again, this is not one that is probably meant for the family. The children can stay at home and see it later on because this needs to be resurrected again so that more people can see it. And so many of his pieces do. They play on and on and on. So we hope that this is one of the ones that joins the archives there. Lastly, was there, I'm curious at all, you said David spent a lot of time in there for the Devin Bunny character. Was there a couple things that he did need to say? I just need you to fine tune because this is meant to be said more like this, or my mindset would have been to deliver it with more of a sharp, not in a droll wit. Or no, he was hands off and let Cheryl handle all of that fine tuning for you. I'm curious, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, Cheryl definitely had a hand in like shaping it and making it sound a certain way and kind of the rhythm of things. She definitely had a way of doing that. But I think it was more so like she was more of a vessel for David's voice. Like I think that he kind of told her the way that he was picturing this, and then she was kind of, you know, and like adding language to that for the actors to kind of get on the right track with things. But yeah, there's definitely like different a lot of topics in the show that are very personal to David, like with the relationship with his mother and the relationship with his family and his dad and things like that, and like the way things are in the home, or they were in the home when he was growing up. And there are a few moments where he was like, where there were specific notes about, you know, this line, even though it says this, it means something a bit more like a bit more severe, even though it's like said in sort of a like childish or maybe sort of like a silly way, or it might come across like that. It is dealing with um, topics that are a bit more personal and have a bit more serious like implications.
Yeah, this is all, it is so fascinating for me. And again, if you're tuning in, this could be a rebroadcast. This is being captured on Thursday morning, May the 15th, 2025. Your host, Phil Potempa, visiting with cast members from Scary Town. David Cerda's new biographical look at his own, autobiographical look at his own life, brought to stage, but done with that traditional parody campiness, and that his family has been transformed into rabbits in kind of a children's special, thinking of sort of that transformation and transition, but with heartfelt moments in it. So I'm gonna use a term that you neither of our guests will know because they're young, but and almost like an after school special approach where there is a special moment in there or a connection where messages will unfold. One of the last things here is we're ready to kind of wrap up. I'm curious, for either of you, for Grant or for Colin, our cast members. One who is playing the part of Devin Bunny, which would be the guise of a young David Cerda as he's written it. That is the role that's being played by Colin Callahan. And then we also have with us Grant Drager, who's one of the ensemble members. Either of you have ever been to Northwest Indiana? Did David say, you know what, we need to do a field trip for you to really understand this? We need to kind of cross the state line. It's not far. You need to see what Hammond looks like for itself, or East Chicago. Either of you ever been to Northwest Indiana? I'm curious.
I've only driven through. My family has a place up in like South Haven, Michigan
Mm-hmm.
that we've gone to since I was like literally like just born. So always like we live out in the like suburbs of Chicago, so we
Sure.
always drive through that part of Indiana, but I've never like truly stopped and like taken it all in. We've kind of I've only really driven through.
Mm-hmm. And how about Grant?
So,
Yeah.
topically enough, I actually visited when David's mother passed away a couple of years ago. I went for the funeral. And so I got to meet his extended family and really hear about his mom. So I kind of had a little bit of context for the show. But what's really beautiful about the show is it's really about Northwestern Indiana, but it's also very relatable no matter where you're from, because we all have that home place. And we all have, we all have a grandmother and a mother and all those interrelationships that are also important. So it's incredibly specific if you're from there, but it's also relatable whether you are or you're not from Northwestern Indiana.
Absolutely. So well said. And again, I know this is coming in very much at the grand finale of this run. It closes on Sunday, May the 18th. So here's your opportunity when you're hearing this broadcast to get your tickets right away, and you will not be disappointed. But I always feel as though I wanted to get out there and see it and definitely do a show on it, because I've always felt as though I've walked the same journey side by side with David since I've known him since about 1998. I think the first show I ever saw was back when he'd had Sweetback Productions, I believe it was, and it was, or Sweet Corn Productions, something sweet, I remember. And
Yeah,
it was
Sweetback.
Sweetback, and it was Joan Crawford Goes to Hell was the production that he starred in. So along the way, prior to being with the Chicago Tribune Media Company as a columnist the last 9 years, prior to that I spent 24 years with the Hammond Times as the entertainment columnist, and I would quite often always give a lot of ink and write about David's shows. And David so kindly a couple times has referenced and said, I don't think my family ever really understood what I was doing in Chicago or what any of this was. You were the one that really legitimized it when my mom, but especially when my grandma, could pick up the Hammond Times and read in your column and my name in bold that I was doing this new play, and you'd been to it and written about it. It just was a transformation in that they seemed to kind of understand it, and you really legitimized it, that what I was doing meant something, and if it was in your column or it was in the newspaper, well then it must be something real, and that's always touched home with me. And it doesn't get much more real than him taking the chance, which is a risk, bringing your own life to the stage, your own family brought to life, even if it is under the guise of a family of bunny rabbits in this case. But we want to also include that there is plenty of that David Cerda humor throughout, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, 100%. Very good. Anything you want to leave us with before we close?
I'll say,
Anything?
if you're familiar with David's work, anybody that's watching or viewing, he always brings an incredible flavor of comedy and joy, and you always leave David's shows feeling good. This still does that, but it's also incredibly special. It takes a very it's very difficult for somebody, and I can't imagine if I had to do something like David did, would just take something very personal and very honest and
Hmm.
put it on the stage like this. It's got to be cathartic, and it's very, like I said, it's very relatable for anybody that's going to watch a show. Everyone has and has learned about their parents being people before they were in their lives, or grandparents were people. The stories that everybody's had. It's incredibly special, and I really do hope that if you're seeing this and you have the opportunity to see the show, that you check it out, because David really put his heart and soul into this, and I feel like he deserves that, and you deserve to get to experience that, because it's very special.
Yeah, absolutely. Handbagproductions.org. You can get your tickets. You will not be disappointed, and this is your final opportunity as it closes. It's called Scary Town. Closes on May the 18th on that Sunday afternoon for the final performance. So you want to get your tickets right away. Thank you so much to our cast members. Thank you to Grant Drager, and also for Colin Callahan, for being with us. So the next time I'll see both of you, you'll have rabbit ears on and you'll be in the stage spotlight, correct?
Yes.
Sounds great. Well, rest up. And again, thank you for moving the heavens and the earth and making this happen today. It was a great interview and just a nice conversation to have. And my thanks to David Cerda also for waving that wand, as well as extraordinary publicist David Rosenberg for bringing us all together here today. And to you, our viewers and our listeners, for being a part of today's broadcast of Notoriety. Stay tuned throughout the programming day for all the latest for weather and news and updates. Otherwise, I will see you again down the path next week. Hey, thank you both for making this happen and joining. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to meet both of you.
Yeah, I feel like we've probably met over the years at some point or another, either after a show, getting a photo after Golden Girls run, something.
I know we've had to, with a 10-year history, I'm sure we've crossed paths along the way as well. Yeah, so it'll be fun to reconnect and see you from the audience vantage point tomorrow with rabbit ears and a dot on your nose, right?
Oh, well, first you get to see me in heels.
In heels first. Is that as the Fox character?
Absolutely.
Well worth the price of admission right from there. Rest up,
I've been
both of
told
you.
these legs are worth it. I don't know.
Rest up, both of you, and then we'll get to see you tomorrow night, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Enjoy
Thanks
your
for
day in
having
the
me.
weather today. All right, bye-bye. Okay. And selfie? Oh, you look great. Thank you. Thank you for making all this happen.
Yeah, we can do that today. Okay. Yeah. Are you guys gonna do a separate podcast today then?
So what we're gonna do is, here's what we're gonna do, like the podcast we're gonna do today, we rescheduled to tomorrow, because he had to start at 11, or that, he couldn't start, right? We'll do that right after the radio show, but then what we're gonna do, tomorrow after the radio show, we're going to get a stand down, we're gonna interview people.
Okay.
I wanna set up the beginning of that interview today and record it with Steve and me, and then we'll go do interviews and we'll splice it all together.
Okay, so then you guys.
This Connie?
Yeah,
Phil
Mr.
Potempa.
Potempa, I love your show.
I'm so sorry that I ran over and messed up your schedule. My apologies.
It's an unusual situation. There is a man with 11 other veterans setting a world record with Team Red, White, and Blue running across the country.
Oh,
We had a very small. No, it's okay. He can do it tomorrow.
You
It's
can
all
do it
good.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it worked
Thank
out.
you for that.
Yeah,
For
you have
being
a great show. I
thank
love
you for being a good neighbor.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
producers.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll send that to you. So
Okay,
okay, so then you guys are not going to